One evening after work in August 2001, a Mayo Clinic nurse stopped at this bar in downtown Rochester, Minnesota. At the bar, she met a disheveled man nursing a beer. "I'm a dead man, a living ghost," he kept saying. He pulled out his wallet and showed the nurse his pilot's license and photos of his wife and child in Saudi Arabia. The man was Mohan El-Sherry, one of the 9/11 hijackers aboard United Flight 175 out of Boston, the second jet to crash into the World Trade Center. As a journalist, I write stories about the global connections of our local places. I call this global journalism. Let me describe a few other global stories. This is Ali Egal, born in Somalia, now living in Rochester. When Ali was 10 years old, he was shot by a gangster randomly shooting people in Mogadishu. It gave Ali permanent gastrointestinal difficulty and stopped the growth of his right leg. This past Monday, Ali scored 100 on his citizenship exam, so he will soon become an American citizen. This is Lee Harold, who owns a shop in Rochester that sells flags of the world. When the U.S. invaded Iraq, Lee flew the Iraqi flag in front of his shop for 3 weeks straight. On holidays celebrated in foreign countries, he flies the flags of those nations. A flag is the visible symbol of the invisible connections between people and nations, Lee says. This is my mom being sprinkled with holy water at the Cambodian Buddhist temple in Rochester. Cambodian Buddhism has a ceremony where children show gratitude to their elderly parents. During that ceremony, my siblings and I told Mom how grateful we were that she gave us life and raised us. My dad passed away, but he is in the framed photo to my mom's right. Now let me tell you my most dramatic and important local journalistic story. Note the word Aniwak on this marquee in front of a movie theater turned evangelical church in Austin, Minnesota. The Aniwak are an African tribe of Ethiopia, 1,500 of whom live in Minnesota because they are being ethnically cleansed from their native land. This is Oban Jobi, an Aniwak, outside the fast-food Ethiopian restaurant near Snelling University in St. Paul. On December 13, 2003, Obang telephoned me in Rochester. A massacre of the Aniwak was happening at that very moment in Ethiopia, he said. He knew this because Aniwak refugees living in Minnesota could hear the sounds of gunshots over their cell phone connections to friends and family. This is an Aniwak farmer shot dead in his fields, one of 425 Aniwak killed on that day by the Ethiopian army. I was the first reporter in the world to report on the massacre. I was able to do so by interviewing the Minnesota Aniwak refugees and by telephoning Aniwak eyewitnesses in Ethiopia myself. This is Oman Ochan, an Aniwak who works at a job counseling firm in Minneapolis. He came to live here to escape being killed in Ethiopia by his own government. In my journalism, I try to model the practice of using one's imagination to shuttle between the local and the global, to live neither here nor there exclusively, but rather to live as a citizen of the world. This man is an Aniwak of Ethiopia. He survived the massacre of December 13, 2003, but his home did not. There are about 100,000 Aniwak living today, more than twice that number were alive only a generation ago. Because of ethnic cleansing and the scattering of Aniwak refugees to places like Minnesota, the Aniwak tribe is probably headed to extinction. In April 2004, I traveled to a refugee camp in southern Sudan, where more than 10,000 Aniwak had fled after their massacre in their own villages. I wanted to verify with my own eyes the Aniwak claim of genocide. What follow are some photographs and stories of the Aniwak in the refugee camp of Pochala in the South Sudan desert. I met this refugee family in Pochala on my first day there. They had just arrived from a 7-day walk through the malaria-infested bush of western Ethiopia and then into the Sudan desert. When I told them I was from Minnesota, they asked me to pass the message that they were alive to friends and family who live in the Twin Cities. This being the Sudan desert, there's little to eat. There are small antelope to hunt, but the antelope are puny, skinny little things, because just like the human beings, they don't have much to drink or eat. This man went to the bush and is returning home with a dinner of leaves for his family. This being the Sudan desert, water is scarce. The Anahuac refugees get their daily drinking, cooking, and washing water by digging 6 feet underground. 4 years after the 2003 massacre and the exodus of Anahuac refugees, the refugee camp has become a permanent village. People are still afraid to return to their homes in Ethiopia. This man is named Oboge. He followed me everywhere during my 3 days in the Pochala refugee camp, dancing and singing. The Anahuac explained that Oboge had lost his whole family in the massacre and had gone crazy. But Oboge told me, "I haven't gone crazy. When I sing a song, I feel happy." This woman sits with her malarial child outside what is called a clinic near the Pochala refugee camp. I went in the clinic and there was no running water, no pills, no equipment, not even a Band-Aid. Those with strength enough stayed outside, lying on cardboard mats. These are Anahuac refugee children playing with toys. The sticks are attached to strings that pull tiny cars made out of tin cans. In the refugee camp, I also saw tiny little straw huts, like many teepees 2 feet high. They were toy homes built by these same children to play in. This woman gave birth in a ramshackle hut after walking pregnant through the bush for nearly 2 weeks, fleeing the Anahuac massacre. Mosquito netting covers her bed, a luxury granted by her fellow refugees in consideration of her status as a new mother. This is Barnabas Gabrab, the Ethiopian government official who the evidence shows ordered the massacre of Anahuac on December 13, 2003. I interviewed him in his office in Addis Ababa, and I took this photo. He called the Anahuac social scum, and he said, "I'm not a perfect man, but if I died tomorrow, I would die with a clear conscience." Back to Minnesota. The photo was taken by a Kazakh immigrant artist, Sarik Komashkanov. As all immigrants do, he showed us a picture of our local place that makes us see anew. Look at that contrail connecting here to there, local to global. To enter or not to enter our new world of global interconnectedness, this is one pressing question.